Hi, thanks for joining me on another episode of Ask Angela. Today I'm going to be speaking to my first time home buyers. I want to talk a little bit about the house buying process. If you're out there in the market already, you should have done all the things that I'm going to mention. And if you haven't, you're a little behind. But for you guys who's now getting started or thinking about getting started, this one's for you. So, first things first, how are we going to pay for this house? Unless you have a bank account full of cash, it's going to be with a mortgage, right? And you're going to need a down payment for that mortgage. So let's start saving for it. Do you have a separate account for your down payment? Are you putting away a certain amount every week, every month? What are you doing to actually get that account up to where you need it to be? Keeping in mind that your down payment is a big cost and your closing cost is as well. So what are you doing about that? Next in line, your pre-approval. Well, you need a mortgage professional for that. And they're going to take a lot of documents from you, beginning with, but not limited to, your bank statements, your pay stubs, W-2s. So you want to start to gather them and keep them all in a safe place, in a stack if you still get them by mail. And if you're not getting them by mail, then maybe you just want to go ahead and create a folder for them in your computer and start setting them aside. The sooner you speak to a mortgage professional, the better. One, they can help you to budget, or at least know and understand what you need to budget for. Two, if there's something that needs to be fixed in your with your credit, or if you need a bigger down payment, they can go through all of that for you and help you to come up with a plan. And third, sometimes we think we're not ready, but we are, per the bank anyway. And speaking to a mortgage professional sooner rather than later will get you answers to a lot of the questions that you have, as well as questions that you may not have thought of, but it's very important in the process. What can we afford? Well, that's a great question. That kind of goes back to mortgage, right? We all have seen, and if we haven't, when we start the home buying process, we will see those mortgage calculators that they have online. And they're nice, they're fun. Some are better than others because some are a little bit more in depth. But the best person to tell you exactly what you can afford will be your mortgage professional, because again, they're going to take a lot of documents from you. They're going to pull it all together and they're going to say, okay, this is what the bank is willing to lend you. And sometimes that number is higher than what you actually need. What do I mean by that? Well, what is the budget that you have for yourself in terms of how much would you like to pay a month? Just because the bank pre-approves you for a certain amount, let's say they say you're pre-approved for a home where your mortgage amount is going to be about $3,500 a month. And you say to yourself, I don't want to spend $3,500 a month. I'd like to spend $3,000 a month. That's okay. We can back out of it. So sometimes what you can afford per the bank may be different than what you feel you can afford or what you really want your monthly budget to be. I want to cover debt for a little bit. Sometimes we believe that we need to pay off everything in order to get a pre-approval, and that's not the case. Sometimes we feel like we need to pay off everything in order to have a better credit score. That is also not the case. Sometimes you require some credit, some used credit in order to get the best credit score. Why is that? Because the banks want to see that you are responsible, right? You have a credit card with a $30,000 balance on it, but you're only using $600 or $700 of it, or $1,000, right? The ratio is off so much. It's basically showing that you are responsible enough to have that amount of available credit and not spend it all. So I'm going to go back to your mortgage professional again. They're going to be able to look at your overall picture and say to you, you know what, this is great, or keep doing what you're doing, or pay this off, or hey, maybe you want to use that credit card once or twice to help bump up your score. There's various options out there, different things that can be done to help you get to where you need to be. And sometimes paying off every single debt that you have is not the way to get there. Okay, so You met with your mortgage professional. By now, I hope you're also speaking to your real estate agent. And if you're not, you may want to look at the episode of Ask Angela that talks about interviewing a real estate agent and finding the one that's best for you. But let's say you have that person and you spoke to mortgage, you have your pre-approval. It's time to go house shopping, right? So what does that mean? Well, I want you to start thinking about where you'd like to be and write down questions, right? I like this area. Why? I like that area. Why? Start to visit the areas. Do they have the things that you need, right? Not all areas or neighborhoods has a supermarket. And sometimes that's okay because the neighboring neighborhood has one, right? I would say take your time and know where everything is, especially things that's most important to you. Are you going to be taking the railroad into work? How far is it? Are you going to be driving? How close is the highway? How far is your place of worship? How far is a hospital? How far is a supermarket? How far is a pharmacy, right? What's the most important things to you? How far are they? And that's some of the things you want to think about neighborhood-wise. Is there a specific neighborhood that you want to be in where you only want to be in this neighborhood because maybe you grew up there and that's where you want to raise your children? You want to think about that as well. And then you want to share all of this information with your real estate agent so you guys can get to it and do it as a team. Remember, teamwork is always better than trying to do something alone. All right, so one of the last things I'm going to tell you guys is stick to your budget, right? I'm going to go back to my example where I mentioned $3,500 is what the bank said they're going to pre-approve you for in terms of your monthly payment. And you're saying, you know what, I don't want to spend more than $3,000 a month. No one knows your budget better than you. The bank does not know your budget better than you. So if you know that you want to stay at $3,000 a month, you discuss it with your mortgage professional, your agent, and you guys come up with a plan or come up with the ideal number for you. So they may say, okay, instead of $500,000, you're qualified for, or the amount you should max out at is say $420. And that will get you your monthly payment of about $3,000 a month. Now you know what house price you should be shopping in. Your agent as well knows what house price you prefer to be in, and then you get to it. Again, always remember, no one knows your budget better than you. And it's a very important thing for you to remember because when you sign on those dotted lines, you're going to be in it for 30 years. Some of you might be in it for 15. No matter how long it is, it's not only a day. So be real careful about going outside of your budget. And that's that on budgets. Okay, so thank you for joining me on another episode of Ask Angela. Remember, I'm always here to answer any home buying, home selling questions you may have, even investing questions, right? Go ahead and send them in. I'd like to welcome you to subscribe to my channel and like this video and my social medias. Go ahead, guys. Follow me, right? See what kind of new information I'm putting out there all the time. And until next time, I'd like to say, be well, be awesome, be great.